If you want to know how to fix the blue screen after installing drivers in Windows 11 or 10, you are at the right place. Here is a detailed guide on how to fix blue screen after installing drivers in Windows 11 or 10. This is the Windows Club. Without device drivers, your computer's internal or external hardware such as the graphics card or hard drive won't function properly. When you connect new devices to your computer, Windows can check to see whether there are drivers available. In this video, we offer suggestions that should help you resolve the issue of a blue screen after installing drivers in Windows 11 or 10. Let's get started. Method 1. Make sure the driver is signed. You are less likely to encounter driver issues on your Windows 11 or 10 computer if the drivers are digitally signed by Microsoft. Although driver signing is not required on 32-bit versions of Windows, all drivers running on 64-bit versions of Windows must be signed before Windows will load them. So it could be the blue screen after installing drivers on your computer is the symptom of an unsigned driver that Windows is unable to load. In this case, you can easily check if a driver is digitally signed by following this link and using either the file signature verification or the DirectX diagnostic tool. If the drivers you have installed are signed, follow this guide to disable driver signature enforcement and see if that resolves the issue at hand. Otherwise, you can check from this link if an updated and compatible driver is available at the driver OEM website or from this guide to check it via Windows optional update. Method 2. Run Driver Verifier. Driver Verifier is a utility that helps in figuring out which driver is malfunctioning on your computer. The utility monitors drivers to detect illegal function calls or actions that might corrupt the system by subjecting Windows drivers to a variety of stress and tests to find improper behavior. You can use this guide to run Driver Verifier, which can identify the installed drivers causing the blue screen error so that you can take the necessary actions to resolve the issue. Method 3. Run the blue screen troubleshooter. Several factors can cause BSODs on a Windows 11 or 10 PC, which is usually hardware issues, software issues, and user errors. As basic troubleshooting for blue screen errors that don't require technical expertise, affected PC users can follow this guide to run the blue screen online troubleshooter from Microsoft. This automated wizard can troubleshoot and resolve BSOD by making recommendations on possible solutions. Method 4. Roll back or install an earlier version of the driver. You can follow this extensive guide to roll back the driver if after updating the driver, the blue screen issue starts. You can also download and install an earlier version of a driver if the newer version is triggering a blue screen during or after the driver installation. The issue here could be due to compatibility issues with a newer version or build of Windows, especially if you know the driver worked well with previous versions of the Windows OS. In this case, you can follow this link to run the program compatibility troubleshooter, or you can follow this link to install the driver in compatibility mode and see if the blue screen issue goes away. Method 5. Review the BSOD log files. If like in this guide, you have configured Windows to create crash dump files on blue screen, when a blue screen error occurs on your Windows 11 or 10 computer, a BSOD log file is generated and saved in the event viewer. You can follow this link to find and review the BSOD log file, which contains a wealth of information to an experienced eye that can point you in the right steps to take in troubleshooting the issue you are currently facing. Also, a blue screen usually outputs an error code or message which you can use to further diagnose the problem and apply the most suitable solution to that particular BSOD error. You can follow this guide to use WinBG to troubleshoot blue screen stop errors. Method 6. Run Hardware and Devices Troubleshooter. A device driver, also called a software driver, is a particular form of software application that allows one hardware device. So, one of the possible reasons you may encounter blue screen after installing a device driver is that the device itself might be faulty. To rule out this possibility, you can follow this guide to run the Hardware and Devices Troubleshooter. If issues are detected, you can follow this link to manually update drivers on your system or replace the faulty hardware. Method 7. Stop overclocking. If you have overclocked your PC, CPU or GPU like this, chances are you may experience blue screen errors at random, not just necessarily after you have installed a driver. These system crashes could be due to your system operating at unsupported voltages and frequencies, which can happen if your GPU frequencies are too high and your voltages cannot keep up because your PC cannot produce adequate power due to overclocking. So you can get your system to function properly again by decreasing the overclocking frequencies for both your CPU and GPU, or stopping or restoring to the original settings for the overclocked hardware, depending on the overclocking software in use. You can launch the software and look for the option to stop overclocking. Once done, restart your computer. This should help you determine whether the issue is caused by overclocking. Method 8. Run Memory Test. A known major contributing factor to most BSOD errors is defective RAM, which can cause memory leaks and lead to serious system crashes. To rule out this possibility, you can follow this guide to run a memory test using Windows Memory Diagnostic tool, or you can follow this guide to run Advanced Memory Diagnostic with MemTest 86 Plus to check the integrity of your RAM sticks to ensure this isn't the culprit. If any abnormalities are detected, you may need to replace the affected RAM. If you have dual channel RAM installed, remove just one stick at a time, or if you recently added a new RAM stick, remove it and check if that is causing the error. Method 9. Uninstall Bandwidth Control Filter driver. This solution applies if you have the Qualcomm Atheros Killer Network adapter installed on your computer. The Bandwidth Control Filter driver's primary purpose is to allow users to restrict the amount of data flowing for each data type. Unless you are a developer or QA, you have no use for this driver, and you can easily remove this driver by following the instructions in this guide to uninstall the Bandwidth Control Filter driver in the Network Adapter section in Device Manager. Method 10. Troubleshoot in clean boot state. Device driver conflicts on your Windows 11 or 10 computer can potentially trigger blue screen errors, as could be the case here. So to resolve the issue, you can follow this link to troubleshoot in clean boot state. This process, which is distinct from the well-known software clean boot, requires you to disable each piece of hardware that is not required for a system to function in Device Manager. To identify the hardware or devices that are probably the cause of the problem, you then re-enable each device one at a time until you isolate the device causing the issue, and then take the necessary action to resolve the issue at hand. Method 11. Perform System Restore. System Restore is a viable solution to BSOD errors, especially if there was a recent system update after which installing drivers started crashing the system. To resolve the issue, you can follow this link to revert your system to an earlier point in time before the system update. You can also follow this guide to uninstall the update or check if there is an available updated version of your driver that is compatible with the new OS build. Method 12. Reset PC. In place, upgrade, repair or clean install Windows 11 or 10. You can follow this guide to reset the PC or this link for an in-place upgrade repair, or follow this guide to clean install Windows 11 or 10 in likely cases of BSOD errors caused by severe system corruption that cannot be resolved conventionally. So that's it. Subscribe to the Windows Club for all your tech solutions related to Windows. Thanks for watching.